Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the physical, digital, even more tiny than normal tiny room. I am Michael, the co-host of the podcast, which is called Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am joined today by the man who has been described as the man who is sitting uncomfortably close to me. It's Benjamin.
Could you please take your hand off my knee, Michael?
No. But Ben, great news.
What?
We have also been joined by the lady who has been called the Doctor of Instruction. It's Rachel. Rachel, say hello.
Hello, could you please put your hand on my knee?
Yes.
Also, from now on, Rachel will be referred to as the witness in the upcoming court case of Michael versus Benjamin. Or it's the other way around.
You are the litigant, so it's Benjamin versus the state.
So many terrible jokes. Can we move away from those, please?
Right. So, Ben, look, let's move on to our first conceit. I'm just off the plane. I'm back. I'm back from Australia.
From Australia?
I'm back from Australia.
What are you doing in Australia?
Well, my nose got sunburnt. That's one of the main things.
One of the big
we
things.
are sitting very close together,
so
Ben.
close.
I can see the pores on your nose. This is terrifying. Yes, I'm back from Australia, Ben. And I had gone to Australia to see Antman and the Wasp.
You went to see Antman and the Wasp?
That's it, yes. That was more New Zealand, I felt.
Fair enough.
Rachel, are you aware of the situation with Antman and the Wasp?
Not really. Fill me in.
Look, Rachel, we're not allowed to watch it because the World Cup is on.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we have to wait.
Well, the World Cup was on because as this podcast is going out Monday morning, the final has just finished.
Oh, congratulations, Croatia.
Yeah. That's a risk. That's a risk.
Risque. There goes our French listenership. Congratulations to the winning team. We knew you could do it. In general, but yeah, you probably don't mind so much that Ant-Man and the Wasp has been delayed in favour of the World Cup.
I don't mind because I feel like I've missed a lot because of the World Cup.
Like what?
Oh.
Well, there's a lot, I haven't been going to the cinema. I have vouchers to the cinema. I haven't gone to see anything because of the World Cup.
It's your fault. You are the people.
I'm the people.
You are the
I'm
people.
the people. I've always felt that everything in the world is my fault. So thanks for playing into that.
You're a human dip in revenue. It's a tragedy.
Look, anyway, back to the conceit. I'm back from Australia. I have my cork hat and my boomerang.
Oh, God.
And I've been to see Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah. Look, was it worth
that whole conceit? Was it worth
was it
playing for?
Was it worth €2,500 or $5,500 Australian dollars, presumably? No, probably not.
Oh.
Look, it's fine. It's a good film, but it's a lightweight chase adventure film. Ben is just signaling me to move even closer. It's a lightweight chase adventure film. Look, Ben, have you seen the film? Rachel, Ben probably hasn't because this was before he was born, and as you know, things from before he was born don't count. Have you seen the film Romancing the Stone?
I have seen the film Romancing the Stone, a classic Michael Douglas caper.
Exactly.
Before he did sort of weird erotic sex
I know.
thrillers.
Catherine Zeta-Jones?
No, Ben, Jesus. Romancing the Stone, actually the first shot of Romancing the Stone is a woman's nipple in a wet shirt.
I know, that probably has to be one of the most paused moments. That's a good podcast, actually.
Yeah.
The most paused moments, Jamie Lee Curtis in Trading Places.
Yes, or Jamie
Rachel.
Lee Curtis in the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger is a spy.
Yes,
What's that called? Arnold Schwarzenegger is a spy. You know that one?
Oh, you do know.
Where he's like,
Red
do
something.
it slow.
No,
Do
it's
it
not.
slow.
No.
Red Guns?
No.
No.
You're so young.
You're so young.
What am I
Get
talking
to the
about?
chopper.
Get to the chopper.
No, that's a different
Get
film.
to the tape recorder. Go. Confide your secrets. Go.
No, this has turned really weird. Anyway, that's a good topic for a podcast.
So Rachel is ensuring that she comes back to the podcast, which we are only too happy to facilitate
Hold
here.
on, Ben.
So far, so good.
Hold on, so
but
far, so
come on.
good. Let's not spend our loads here.
Excuse my optimism.
What was I saying?
Romancing the
Ant-Man, Wasp,
Yes.
Romancing Stone.
So, Romancing the
Woman's
Stone. Do you remember the movie Romancing the Stone? Romancing the Stone is a three-way chase for a thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's basically the story of Ant-Man. It's a three-way chase. It's a get the thing film.
Or a thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a get the thing film.
That MacGuffin sure
Is
is
there
special. Go.
Is there a thing or is it a MacGuffin?
There's a thing.
There is a
but
thing.
the thing keeps changing. They need one thing and then the other people get the thing.
Right, okay.
And then they get that thing back. but then the thing that they needed that thing for gets stolen by another group.
Okay.
Right.
But the reason I bring up Romancing the Stone is because A, it stars a sexy young Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
And Ant-Man stars a not sexy old Michael Douglas. But
Does it?
yeah, he's the original Ant-Man, Hank Pym.
Wow.
Hank Pym is Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. Wow.
The major problem with the movie is that it's a bit muddied in what it wants to be. If it was just a Get the Thing chase movie, the Get the Thing chase bits are very good.
Yes.
But there's a lot of just going home between chase scenes.
And having a chitty chat.
And having a chat. And there's also the whole trying to rescue her mother subplot.
How was Michelle Pfeiffer?
Michelle Pfeiffer is barely in it.
Well-known childhood formative experience for Michael.
Well, Ben, that's
Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's what we're going
yeah.
to talk about.
Let's not talk about that yet.
We won't talk about that yet.
It's coming.
She's in it, but she spends... I think there's probably more of her de-aged in it than there is of her currently.
I don't know if I disagree with that.
No, it's fine.
I think that's okay.
I think, Ben, are you saying all women should be
No,
digitally
that's not what I
disabled?
said. That's not what I said.
I'm shaking my head.
That's
here,
not what I
listeners.
said.
I'm shaking my head.
If you shake it closer, we might be able to actually hear the air move past
As
the
the first
mic.
female guest, I am shaking my head at Benjamin.
look.
Avocado on toast here. That's what he actually
that a
had.
millennial
He was having
crack?
that when I came in.
I was not.
It was.
I was not.
Chili flakes on it.
It was
listeners.
free-range Guatemalan avocados on toast. Get it right.
Disgusting.
Can I talk about Ant-Man now?
Yes, please.
Sorry.
What was I saying? Yes, also, here's the other niggle, Ben. This is the other niggle
The other
I have
what?
about it. The other niggle.
The other was...
Leave that, Ben. That's not good. That's not good podcasting.
You're the one that said it, not me.
The other niggle is... Remember in the first movie how it was quite inventive?
Yes.
And you were like, oh, look, now they're fighting with Thomas the Tank Engine, and now that ant is huge.
Yeah.
And do you remember in Civil War, when Ant-Man grew giant?
When he
and
gets
the
all
whole,
big?
Yeah, and the whole cinema goes, oh!
Yeah, because it was a shock.
Exactly. There's nothing surprising with size changing in the whole film.
Oh.
If you've seen the trailers, you've seen every size changing sight gag in the whole film.
Don't like that.
No.
Don't like that at all.
Very disappointing.
Don't like that at all.
The salt shaker, the Pez dispenser, the little cars flipping over the big cars. It's
all there.
It's all you've seen every sight gag about size changing. The giant man going to the boat. It's a little disappointing. Do you remember a few weeks ago we talked about how? Ben? Do you remember
Scared the shit out of the listeners. Thanks
Do you
for that,
remember
Michael.
a few weeks ago how you pointed out that is it Vox? No, what company is it that makes those behind the scene shorts on YouTube?
It is Vanity Fair,
Vanity Fair.
of all things.
Peyton Reed did a behind the scenes
Of an Ant-Man fight
of
scene.
an Ant-Man fight scene, and he does not sound like an artist. He's like, and now she uses this disc to make the salt shaker bigger.
Oh, so he's just gonna... Because if you put that in comparison with the Black Panther one, the one that Ryan Coogler does, the Ryan Coogler one is actually fascinating when you see the thought process behind everything. Like, he works, like, African nation national flag colours into the scenes and how they interact with each other. And he's, like, into it. He's like, yeah, and then she has to move like this because she's this type of woman, and this type of woman is a spy, so she moves different. Like, it's fascinating to hear how he broke that scene down. This sounds ridiculous.
Or if you watch the Rousseau brothers talking about the scene on Infinity War,
Exactly.
they talk about how they use a pan of the camera for comedy.
And how that all builds into the scene.
But in
It's
this,
amazing.
Peyton Reed says, and the disc shoots out of her wrist.
Ooh.
He sounds enthusiastic.
But
Look, it sounds like I'm moaning. I'm not moaning. It's a fine film, but it's a little bit light and inconsequential. And I don't think I'll go see it again and add to the Irish box office figures when it does come out.
because you saw it in Australia.
In your face, Marvel.
Boom. Yeah. Moving it back a month didn't help.
No.
Fair
on the
enough.
other hand, Ben, Cloak and Dagger is still very good. Get on it.
Segue.
Get on it.
Why? What's so good about Cloak and Dagger this
The
time?
last episode was
Go
an
on.
episode, a Groundhog Day episode, a famous science fiction and fantasy trope.
How did they build that up?
It's inside someone's brain.
Oh.
So it's both in the mindscape and Groundhog Day.
Do they do a lot of mindscaping in
No,
Cloak and
first
Dagger?
time.
No, first
Well,
first
they do.
Mindscape?
They do a bit of mindscaping because
Aw,
the whole
baby's first
touching each other's
Mindscape.
powers.
Yeah.
You know how they can touch people and freak them out.
That's the name of the episode, by the way. Baby's
yeah.
first Mindscape.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, good but not spectacular. And Cloak and Dagger, get on it. It's very good.
Awful good.
Although you'll have to fly to America to see it legally.
Death America.
Will we go to the airport afterwards?
Yeah,
Will
come
you
on.
give us a lift?
I will give you both a lift
Great.
That's great.
to the airport.
Sorted.
Sorted.
Cool.
So, Ben, you may know that sometimes people listen to the podcast. Sometimes by mistake, because they leave their podcast player open after listening to a more popular podcast.
God bless AutoCue. We'd have nothing without it.
Yeah, just feed that algorithm. But sometimes, Ben, on purpose.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And, Ben, we've had a response from one of our listeners.
We did.
I can't remember his name. What's his name?
I can't remember his name either, but it was a very good comment. Last week, I gave a little kind of summary of Tom King's run on Not Your Friend Tom King. Before you even do, I could see you eyeing it up at the side of your head. I'm not letting it.
Mick's friend Tom King.
And Rachel on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I haphazardly weighted it in as usual. I didn't have any figures. Michael loves a figure because it backs up his point very well. I'm more of a broad strokes guy, as we know. Crap, that was unintentional. Any comments referencing that can be put down below. But I mistakenly, according to one fan, said that Tom King's run has been quite popular. His argument was that the Tom King's run has been quite divisive. For
Mick's
one,
friend Tom King.
No, not Mick's friend Tom King. Tom King, the DC writer.
Okay, sorry, I got confused.
Tom King, the DC writer's run, has been quite divisive among fans.
So his name is Oh Cry Me Pipes. Which is a great name, by the way.
I'm so glad we looked that up. So his argument, and he does apologise beforehand, saying that it's a bit of a rant. And I don't.
You've assumed there it's a man, Ben.
I have. My apologies again.
Classic sexism.
Gender assumption. Sorry, Rachel. But I have assumed that. The commenter.
Yes, very good.
Has posited.
Just say, ooh, cry me pipes.
Ooh, cry me pipes has posited that Tom King's run is
Mick's friend Tom King.
No, not Mick's friend Tom King.
Maybe you should call him DC's Tom King. Just
DC's Tom King has spoiled the character of Batman for one key reason. Batman traditionally is referred to as the world's greatest detective, or
the cerebral assassin.
He's don't know if he's referred to as the cerebral. That's one we can. Who is it?
Triple H.
From the wrestling.
No, from the wrestling.
We'll show you how to do the pedigree after the thing.
Yeah.
Out in the garden. Nice hard concrete.
I don't know what's happening.
You were talking about Mick's friend Tom King.
DC's Tom King has made him into more of a punch first, sorted out later kind of character.
My kind of guy.
And for many diehard Batman fans, of which I am one, I would argue, that has rubbed people the wrong way. And I went and I bought War of the Riddles on Friday to do a little bit of proper research on this. And I would almost have to agree with that part of the comment. Yes, Batman doesn't seem to be able to handle problems on his own, and to end the War of the Riddles, spoilers on an old comic run, to end the War of the Riddles, he has to pick a side, and he chooses the Riddler's side in Joker versus Riddler.
Right.
And he works with the Riddler's army to take out the Joker's army.
The Riddler, he's a real bad bloke.
He's a real bad egg.
But he does seem more negotiable with.
Yes. They weigh it up, and the way that they decide on this is Bruce Wayne, Batman's alter ego.
If you were a D&D fan, the Riddler would be lawful evil.
Yes, I suppose he would. He has
I think
rules.
you're right, Nick. He is a cerebral assassin. He weighs up the pros and cons before he picks on.
See?
But
he doesn't kill people.
Well done, Mick.
Thanks, Rachel.
In that regard, I think that the commenter is probably right. But he or she
Ooh,
Cry Me Pipes has posited that a lot of the run kind of moves the character away. I would argue that for the villains of Batman, DC's Tom King has brought them back to their core pathologies as characters. Joker isn't zany all the time and over the top and completely unpredictable. His love of Batman is very clear again, and it drives all of his psychotic acts again. The Riddler is a Riddler again. He's not a weird jigsaw puzzle master from the Arkham games. They're not trying to make him cool and edgy in a new kind of way. Right. His pathology is very much present and constant.
Just
again.
A classic riddle.
Just a classic riddle now and then, but he's just really twisted in how he brings the riddle to bear. And a lot of the characters, because it goes back, the War of the Joker and the Riddles is kind of set in the past. It's Batman telling a story.
Prequel.
Yeah, it's framed as Batman telling a story to Catwoman.
Ben, we hate prequels.
Yeah, I know we hate prequels. But I would say that a lot of the villains get a much better pathology and they go back to their original roots as a character. And it's way more a showpiece for his villains than it is for Batman. However, having read the issue again, the huge ending to War of the Riddles is... Are we okay with spoilers?
Yeah.
We're gonna
How
do
old
spoilers.
is it? How old is it?
It's about not a year. It's about a couple of months.
No, go on. Do
Yeah,
it.
go on.
Go on.
We'll do spoilers from this point on. Anyway, the big joke is that Batman goes to stab Riddler in the face and
That
kill
doesn't
him.
sound very Batman.
Exactly. And the Joker stops him by putting his hand in front of the Riddler's face, and the knife goes through the Joker's hand and doesn't get to the Riddler.
That's
So,
not how hands or knives work.
No, it's not. But DC's Tom King doesn't have a grasp of that. I couldn't say much for your friend Tom King. Maybe he has a better grasp of knife mechanics.
You never grasp a knife, Ben.
You don't.
Never.
You don't grasp a
You
knife.
cut your fingers.
Oh, that's news to me.
have to
That
wear
explains a
special glove.
lot of hospital bills. But yeah, so the conceit is Batman couldn't sort this out on his own, and he actually resorts to this massively emotional response to trying to kill the Riddler.
Why would he just stab him in the face instead of like shooting him into space with some sort of special batarang?
I think this is Oh Crimey Peeps. Pipes?
Pipes.
Oh, Crimey Peeps. Oh, Crimey Peeps. If you could weigh in down below, Oh, Crimey Pipes, Peeps.
Oh my gosh.
And let us know how it goes. Yeah. So, he doesn't sort it out himself. What he does is he resorts to violence at all points. And there's very little planning. There's a little bit of planning in the war and Joke and the Riddles on Batman's side, but Batman's actually a kind of a loss during this whole war. And that's not very Batman-y.
Right.
But I would feel that the main division in the Batman fandom is the super god Batman Grant Morrison fans who think that Batman is infallible at all times.
Back to this again, Ben.
But this is a big thing. It's a big thing. And I think the other people who enjoyed Scott Snyder's run enjoyed going back a little bit further and seeing Batman as a vulnerable character. Because I think Scott Snyder made Batman quite a vulnerable character anyway. He's often at a loss. And what makes him an impressive character is that he finds the will to get through that anyway.
Was Scott Snyder before? Or?
Scott Snyder was before DC's Tom King.
Oh, damn it.
Nice try. Nice try. But anyway, that is my response. I would agree that his Batman needs a lot of work in terms of characterization, but I wouldn't agree. Some of the villain work has been very good. What I would say is very possibly the marriage proposal, etc., is very possibly a machination by Bane to break the bat. So he's possibly manipulated by Psycho Pirate from the start of DC's Tom King run. Now I have to do that every time. But I would argue that maybe Batman has been manipulated by Bane from the start of this run, and he never actually weakened and proposed to Catwoman or did any of that. So
I'd propose a Catwoman.
yeah, only Michelle
If I believed in the Institute of Marriage.
Boom!
That's going to scare some listeners.
Yeah, because three
Marriage.
people...
Concept
Marriage.
of marriage.
Rachel,
Michael.
do you like a Spider-Man?
I do like a Spider-Man. Yes, I'm a fan of a Spider-Man.
Ben, are you a fan of a Spider-Man?
I am a fan of Spider-Man.
Do a thing about Spider-Man then.
Do a thing about Spider-Man. Michael, this week you had a comic roundup.
I did, Ben, every week.
Every week you have a comic roundup.
It's the thing.
Marketing.
It's the thing we
Subtle
do.
marketing,
On
Rachel.
the gram.
On the
That's
gram.
on the gram.
Guy.
At Michael. Is it at Mick and Ben?
At Michael and Benjamin's podcast.
Is it?
It's the
At
full,
Michael and Benjamin's
Yeah.
podcast.
the full bloody at.
Yeah.
Yeah. You picked up the new Marvel #1 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Drawn by Ryan Otley and written by
Some guy.
Some guy.
Ah.
That's not good.
Spencer?
That's Spencer. Written by Spencer. Everybody knows Spencer.
Frank Spencer.
It's not.
Frank
It's not up there in your pile, is it?
I've got piles, Ben.
You've got. We know that, Michael.
There's
There it is. It's it's drawn by Ryan Otley, and it's
actually
written
the
by.
the bloody details are near the back.
Oh man,
It's
this
one of
is
those-
just podcast gold.
Two men flipping through a comic book.
Nick Spencer, you weren't wrong. Nick Spencer, and it's rather interesting. You were right. Mary Jane is just Adam Eve.
Yes.
Ryan Otley doesn't know how to draw redheaded women with variety.
Well, hold on now. Let's not cast aspersions at Ryan Otley.
He's a fantastic artist.
He's a very good artist. He is well aware of the fact that
He's mentioned it a couple of times.
He's mentioned it on his gram as well.
Yeah.
That his MJ looks a lot like Adam Eve, and his Peter Parker looks a lot like Mark
Grayson.
Thanks. He's aware of it. Even the cover for next week, which is included at the back, which is a famous Spider-Man character. It's a bit of a spoiler, so I'm not going to say
Yeah,
it.
we won't say it.
It's
Okay,
a famous
yeah.
Spider-Man
It only
character
came out this week, so we don't spoil.
screaming at Spider-Man. That looks very similar to a piece he did a few years
Yeah.
ago with a famous Invincible villain
Invincible villain.
screaming at the replacement Invincible.
Even the opening shots of this issue, where all the heroes are together fighting an alien invasion,
Oh, the splash page.
and that's not spoilers. That is very reminiscent of every single Invincible
Yes.
grand superhero event, where they're all together fighting the one thing, and they're all a bit overwhelmed. So it's interesting to see how his art dynamic is very invincibly.
It's very invincibly, but by golly, Ben, by gosh, by
Gum.
by gum, by cock, does it? You can say that. That's a phrase.
By
By
cock?
cock, does it look like? Does it suit Spider-Man?
That's a phrase.
Isn't it? Can't you say by cock?
No.
Isn't that like an old-fashioned?
By cock or by cock?
Yeah, an old-fashioned British farmer thing. Oh, by cock, it suits Spider-Man. Look, it suits Spider-Man is what I'm going to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, the number for a stroke helpline will be included at the end
Jesus,
of today's episode, because Michael can smell toast.
Always going back to strokes.
I like a broad stroke. What?
So I heard.
Anyway, I thought it was good. That was a good first issue.
Yeah.
Going back to basics. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Mary Jane has been reintroduced in a big way.
Ben, can I be honest with you?
Go on.
I haven't been following Spider-Man for the last few years, so
Neither have I.
That wasn't big news to me.
Neither have I. But what I would say is, I had no idea that all the superheroes hated Spider-Man so much.
They don't, Ben.
They don't.
That's the plot of that comic book. You'll
They
remember.
don't actually hate him.
No, that's the plot of that comic book.
Oh, okay.
That you find out why in that comic book.
I see.
There's no more to it.
Oh, okay. So there's nothing new to it.
Yeah, no.
Damn it! So we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. Yeah, but it's a real return to form for Spider-Man in terms of, because we had a couple of years there where we did some things. There was a body swap with Otto Octavius. There was
That was very good.
It was very good, but it wasn't the Spider-Man we've all come to know and love. No. Spider-Man is like one of the core superheroes outside of the Avengers. I'd say he was Marvel's biggest seller for years and years and years and years.
Spider-Man, Ben, that's a weird state. Spider-Man massively outsold the Avengers.
There we go.
Going to get some comments here on the
Yeah,
YouTube
there's going
channel.
to be a Ben's
There we
retraction
go.
for next week.
That's fine.
Spider-Man massively outsold the
Massively
Avengers.
outsold.
Massively.
Yeah.
The X-Men were the only competitors Spider-Man basically ever had in terms of sales figures.
Fantastic. There we go. And then we had that strange thing where he sold his marriage to Mary Jane Watson to Mephisto so his Aunt May could come back. Is that?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, which weird. He also revealed his identity in Civil War, the original run.
Are you just doing a retrospective on Spider-Man?
No, but it's how far they've come from the character, and now they're taking all the core elements of him being a down and out loser all the time.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Never being on top, because he was running his own company. He was.
Ben, you are doing a retrospective on
but
Spider-Man.
I find it interesting that they're removing all that again and putting back
What's the series called?
the
Yeah,
down and out Spider-Man.
Back to basics.
But
He looks very hunky in that, which goes back to what you were saying last week.
Go on.
He looks, when you were saying about like what would be the equivalent of, because
yeah.
nerds are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man looks quite hunky.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like the skinny little Peter Parker.
A nebbish
of yore.
dweeb.
A nebbish dweeb. He kind of looks pretty buff.
Yeah,
he's pretty dishy.
Yeah.
and he's got a nice haircut.
And he's got a nice haircut,
and a
and
very
he's got
attractive-
nice clothes, and Mary
attractive
Jane looks
lady
very
friend.
attractive.
Very
Yeah.
attractive lady friend.
Yeah. And the first, I mean, no spoilers. First page is a bit romantic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very Titanic-y.
Very Titanic-y. Yeah.
Look, speaking of
Okay.
comics,
Go on.
Come on.
a few weeks ago, I bought my friend Rachel a comic book as a little present. Did you remember? It was on the gram,
It was on the gram.
and I got her Elvira.
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
And then
Number one.
Rachel said something about that comic,
Yeah,
which really resonated with not only us but also with the Reddit.
Apparently with the Reddit. Yeah, so Rachel and I had a little chat in a room in the building where we work, because we don't say that live on air.
Very nebulous.
Very nebulous. And Rachel mentioned that she felt. Well, I mean, you could say it yourself, Rachel.
Say it yourself, Rachel.
You
Ben.
don't.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Ben.
you
Do you
don't.
I
You don't
saw-
leave me here. Just
Hold on, Rachel. I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm gonna
But
let you
first, I'm
finish.
gonna insult Ben a little bit.
Yeah.
You gonna do a retrospective on Rachel now as well, Ben? Do you want to do a little retrospective about what Rachel has said, or you gonna leave it at Spider-Man?
Sorry, Rachel.
What was I wearing? Tell the listeners what a lovely lady I am. So anyway, we were talking about Mick bought me Elvira, and Mick knows that I'm a big Elvira fan. And I watched it again as an adult. The first time I watched it was 1991.
So you're talking about the movie, not the TV show.
I'm talking about the movie, yeah. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And I first watched it in 1991 and kind of watched it, loved it, watched it with my sister. My aunt used to babysit us on Friday night, and she used to let us rent whatever movie we wanted from the video shop. We were fascinated. It was on Frederick Street in Dublin, and there was a curtain at the back.
Uh-oh.
And it was the adult section.
Oh.
And me and my sister and my aunt used to hang around that section.
Jesus.
Just to laugh at the men going in.
Oh, it got a lot more sanitary there towards the end.
So anyway, we were allowed to rent Elvira, which was probably, I think, an 18s at the time. Maybe a 15s or an 18s. And my sister confirmed it was around 1991. And the cover was what appealed to me, because there's this dark-haired woman, bouffanted woman,
Yes.
in a black dress, massive boobs,
Decolletage.
massive decolletage,
Huge knockers.
huge knockers, and being burnt at the stake. And I thought, this kind of looks like my kind of film. So I rewatched it again as an adult a couple of months ago, and I noticed that she's always in black. She always has this massive beehive, red lipstick, massive sunglasses, leopard print car, leopard print things. I thought,
Rachel, you're describing yourself
I'm
again.
describing myself.
Yeah.
This is me. I let that film at a very formative age affect my whole life. So that's kind of where we came to, of things you might have seen too young and allowed them to have an impact on your life.
Can we do a test on you? We call this the Ben test.
Okay.
If
it
that
like the
movie,
Bechdel test?
kind of. If that movie came out in 1991, how old were you when you saw it?
So, no, the movie came out in 1988.
1988. Okay.
You have to think about how long it took videos to come to Ireland.
Yeah,
Was that
exactly.
before or after me?
They had to come out.
Only you can answer that question then.
Everything was in black and white. So I was born in 1979. So I would have been
Very good.
11 or 12. I don't know when I saw it that year.
Okay.
So it would have been about 11 or 12.
That's fair.
For those formative years.
How risque is that film, Rach?
Incredibly risque.
Is it?
I mean, it is just double entendre after double entendre. It begins... It opens with, she's doing her TV show because she's trying to raise money to put on a Las Vegas burlesque show.
Very good.
And it begins with the director trying to grab her knockers.
Oh.
So it's the ultimate Me Too film, you know? She kicks him in the nuts.
Right.
Nice.
What's his name? Harold Vodkastein.
He's Harold Vodkastein.
Was that too obscure?
It was too obscure.
I was Harvey. I was doing it.
Yeah,
as Harvey
yeah.
He's
Weinstein.
doing a
it.
play
We
on
got it. We got
alcoholic
it.
beverages because wine is an alcoholic
Wine.
beverage.
It was very good though.
Yeah.
It was.
Real
It was.
Off the cuff.
So anyway, she knees him in the nuts.
Yeah.
And then hightails it out there to try and raise this money for her show. She realizes then that her great aunt, it's a great line. She says, I didn't even realize I had a good aunt, let alone a great
Very
aunt.
good.
Oh, so good. She finds out, like, the classic kind of trope of any good cartoon or any good film. She finds out her aunt has left her house, but it's in New England. Ooh, we all know what happened to ladies there.
They hated England.
And so she has to go and claim her birthright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she inherits this massive house and a dog, a poodle.
Oh, very good.
Algonquin, I think is his name. So she has to go and get this house from the
bank.
The solicitor, I think it is,
Yeah.
a lawyer.
Some businessman.
The
And
legal lads.
she can't sell it because it's a wreck. So she meets this guy called Bob who runs the local indie cinema, and he's immediately taken with her.
Obviously.
I
Obviously.
wonder why.
What's
You've
she
got
wearing?
great knockers.
What's
What's
she
she
wearing
wearing?
at this stage?
Very low cut black dress.
Lovely.
A leopard print headscarf.
Yes.
Look.
Her massive beehive.
Yes.
And her leopard print car. Ooh, I just popped my pop shield there. And she so she's befriended by this hunk of spunk. So he's the only hunk of spunk. He's a hunk of spunk, mate. Called Bob. And Bob has a girlfriend, but
course
she's
he
really
does.
prissy.
Yeah.
And it kind of
Oh,
follows the almost kind of Dickensian trope of like naming the characters after their... So there's like the Meekers, you know, these
Okay,
little
yeah.
nosy neighbours.
Sorry, did you just mention a trope out of nothing there, Rachel? You're welcome to come back anytime to the
Thank you,
podcast.
Benjamin. And the lead woman who wants to get Elvira out is called Chastity Pariah.
Of course she is.
What a great name.
Yeah.
What a great name. So she has to do up the house to sell it. Michael,
Yes.
you know what it's like doing up a house.
Look, I've done up my fair share of
I've
houses.
done up my fair share of houses, like myself. But Elvira is on her own. And you know that a lot of the things are a 2-man or maybe more job, like many things in life.
Yeah, like if she's peeling the old wallpaper, who's gonna scrape off the underlayer?
Well, that's it, yeah.
Welcome to Good Homekeeping, the podcast. Welcome to Mid-30s, the podcast.
Is it too late to hand in my letter of resignation? I'll do it after the podcast.
We're going to start talking about IKEA wardrobes next. But anyway, so Bob agrees to help her. And then a group of young...
Is Bob's full name Robert?
It never gets into his full name. He might be Bobbert.
That's disappointing.
He might be Bobbins. I don't know. Yeah, he might be Bobbins. He might be Bob and Abago. I don't know. But anyway...
Bobbertly. That's not a word.
I don't.
So many R. Kelly jokes. Let's move on. And a group of teenage lads offer to help. Why do you think they offer to help?
Because of the decolletage. Yeah, that's why
Knockers.
Ben. Yeah, that's why Ben agreed to this podcast.
You do have a fantastic set of knockers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was me. I was like,
no,
I'm fully buttoned up.
Sorry, that's Mick.
But so the local lads turn up and they offer to give her a hand.
Oh, that's
and
very
the
good.
scene is like her bent over, ass in view.
Do you have a time code for that scene?
Not off the top of my head, but she comes out with the classic line they said, Elvira, can we help you? And she says, okay, grab a tool and start banging.
Yay!
Classic.
And I think every time something like that comes out of my mouth, at home, in the workplace, on the street, it's like, that's the Elvira in my head. That's Elvira in my head. So it's kind of full of those kind of double entendres, filth. She ends up poisoning the town and all of their... Do you not remember?
Hang on, that took a twist.
Yeah, she decides to... They're having a day, like a town day, and she kind of thinks, right, well, maybe I should get to know them better, befriend them, and it might help me sell this house quicker.
Sure.
But she uses a spell book given to her by her Uncle Vincent, who's evil.
Evil Uncle Vinny.
Spoiler alert from 1988.
Is it Vincent Price?
It is not Vincent Price.
Oh, that's disappointing.
But
is it Vincent Brown?
It's Vincent.
I don't know what Vincent Brown sounds like.
Can you smell burnt toast? Is there someone who looks after you? But yeah, so she ends up poisoning the town because he gives her this recipe book and she makes this thing, a casserole. But
what's in it?
It makes them all very, very randy.
Oh, very good.
Oh,
You
goodness.
went with horny, I went with randy.
Ah, that's
Would
interesting.
you prefer horny or randy?
Randy's funnier.
Randy's funnier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ben, horny or Randy? Randy probably wasn't around in your day.
Randy
was
wasn't around in my day. It's all horny these days.
All horny these
It's all
days. You
horny
probably have a
these
new
days.
word for it. What is it? Penning or something?
Yeah, some sort of millennial
Some kind
word.
of millennial word.
Some sort of
I don't
becomers
think we
word.
don't. Oh, watch that term. You wash your mouth out with soap, young man. Becomers.
Do you have a word?
No.
Gagging for it.
For some, yeah. I mean, you can be
expression.
gagging for it. Like
Thirsty.
there's no harm in that.
Thirsty,
Yeah,
that's
thirsty.
it,
That's
thirsty.
it. He's so
Thirsty
thirsty.
has replaced it.
Yeah, she's
replaced Randy. I prefer Randy.
But generally speaking, thirsty is a negative term to derive that someone is too needy, clingy,
Yeah.
and horny.
Usually women.
Yeah.
Usually women. It is
Yeah.
a sexist term.
Isn't it good that there are negative words for women now?
You know
There
what?
always
For
been
so
negative
long.
words.
For so long.
For
For so long, there was nothing to call a woman you didn't like.
There is an interesting side note.
Sorry, my eyes
to
are
the-
popping out of my head here. You can't
There was an
see
interesting side note to that. In the gay community now, you can have a thirst trap, which is an Instagram photo that is intentionally risque and would lead people to like it more due to revealing a bit of skin.
That's what I do in all of my Instagram
thirst
photos.
trap.
A thirst trap. Remind me to show you a picture after the pod of a young Irish fit femme lad who posted a thirst trap photo where you can see very clearly that he has socks down his jocks.
Oh, no.
Oh
good.
no,
Oh, it's horrible. Oh,
That's
man,
not.
it's no good.
Our condolences to his family.
Yeah, so it makes them all randy and they all end up getting off with each other. So they decide
Nice.
to burn her as a witch.
Oh, very good.
Oh no.
Right, so yeah, don't worry.
Don't worry, Ben.
It's grand.
Oh, it's grand. It all works
It's
out.
grand.
No, it's a
grand.
film.
It's
a
film. Yeah, it's
film.
grand. It's
not
only
real.
film. They don't really burn her as a witch.
It's not real.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I was worried.
Now remember the poodle I mentioned earlier?
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Algonquin. He ends up getting rid of the uncle. He puts a spell on the uncle.
The dog.
The dog, yeah.
The dog does magic. He's a
yeah.
magic
Is it
dog.
like
A
a
magic
Salem the
dog.
cat dog?
It's like a Salem the cat
Oh,
dog.
excellent.
That's the second time I've thought about Salem Saberhagen today. Because I saw a little black cat walking along my wall.
Excellent.
And Elvira has a magic ring. Leave it.
Classic.
And it gets her out of her binds as she's being burnt. And And she sells the house, she gets her money, and she puts on her Las Vegas burlesque show, and it ends with her swinging her nipple tassels there's no tomorrow.
Great.
Yep. So it's
So the knockers, so it's kind of full circle. We start with knockers and we end with
circle
knockers.
of knockers.
The nipple tassels go full circle.
You can make them go this way, you can make them go that way, you
excellent.
can't make them go opposite ways. So yeah, it's a full circle, but I really do think that was a film that really impacted me as a tiny child and impacted my image and personality as I grew up.
How old were you again?
11 or 12.
Oh, that's too young.
So this is actually why Rachel's on the podcast today. There's a link down below. You can donate to her Patreon to raise funds for her Las Vegas burlesque show.
Yay!
So far we have $370, which is one nipple tassel.
We would like 2, ideally.
Yeah.
Also, do not grab her knockers, or you will receive a kick in the nuts. Fairly. Fairly.
Elvira or Rachel?
No, Rachel. She has to go and
I didn't
raise
realise
money
we were
for
going to be talking about my knockers.
Yeah,
on this
there's a
podcast.
lot of knockers talk here,
It was
Ben.
in defense of...
Ben, you are such
It was
a
in
sexist.
defense of
Surely
Rachel's
they deserve
knockers.
their own podcast.
Here's my one, right?
Come on, Michael, tell us.
When I was a wee child,
But a wee
a
lad.
bairn,
Bairn.
no, not a baby, a young man. Ben, this might surprise you because I'm such a strapping and terrifying man now.
Yeah.
I was a nervous child, a timid child.
No
You
way,
weren't.
really?
You
That's
never
surprising.
were.
I was quite timid.
That's quite
and
surprising.
We used to also rent videos from our local video shop.
Yeah.
This should have been called the "What Did You Rent from Your Video Shop" that
Something,
fucked you up in the podcast. So the one that really stuck out for me was a 1980s remake of a 1940s or 50s classic, Invaders from Mars.
Oh.
Yeah. Go on, tell us more.
Right, so pretty low budget.
Yeah.
The idea is that a kid wakes up one night and he looks out his back window and he's looking out onto a farm and there's a glowing light, and he goes out to investigate the glowing light. And he finds that there's an alien spaceship that's landed and is capturing people. And I think in the original it was a kind of body snatchers type deal where it replaced them.
Right.
But in the one I saw in the 80s, it drilled a little needle into the back of their neck and took over their brain.
Oh, that's not right.
Right? And it gave them a little like nipple on the back of their neck that they covered with a plaster. Just to forewarn you, everything that I've mentioned, I was afraid of plasters. I was afraid of sleeping face down in case the needle went into the back of my neck. I was afraid of looking out the window at night in case I saw the light.
Awful.
I used to sleep in the same bedroom as my brother. Obviously, we're Irish twins, and I insisted: A, the window was always locked. B, the curtains were always pulled, and C, he slept by the window. So that if the aliens came, they would take him first.
Look, you were afraid of being disrobed and probed.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that weird?
It's a legitimate fear.
Many years later, I discovered my brother was afraid of an alien or a monster that lived under the stairs. So he was more than happy for me to sleep closer to the door.
Oh, man.
Lest the monster come in, it would get him.
Wouldn't it have been awkward if on the same night the monster under the stairs
And
the
the
alien
aliens
probers attacked at the same time and they saw each other like, Evening.
Hello.
And they took their respective victims.
Or kind of went, oh, was this your night? Oh,
I thought on the roster. Oh,
Like a couple of
man.
cagey nonsense.
Marie said that this was free.
All right, ready, done? Yep.
Look, anyway. So yeah, the aliens gradually replace everyone.
I found a new name for the episode. A couple of cagey nonsense.
No, we're not putting that online, Ben. So they gradually replace everyone by kidnapping them and probing the back of their neck. And the kid, I think his name's Gary, he's the only one who knows what's going on, except for one woman and the army.
Okay.
And they show up to help, but the army gets defeated, and he discovers that I think copper is the alien's weakness. And he... Not Coppers, not the famous nightclub in Ireland.
No.
Oh, I was just waiting on another joke and I was just giving the warning finger. Keep going.
No, keep going. It's fine. We missed it.
Copper.
Anyway, copper is their weakness, and he has a coin collection. And he proves to be the key to saving the day. And then he wakes up, and it was all a dream.
Oh.
But then he looks out the window, and he sees the glow again.
Oh, so it was a premonition.
Or, I don't know, but look, it freaked me the hell out.
It sounds like it
And
did.
here's the thing.
Can't blame you.
Unlike Rachel, like I don't go around gathering copper or
That
looking
was my
for
next question.
or looking for aliens.
Fair enough.
Oh, now I get it. What was I saying? Yes, that film, that sheer unadulterated terror that film inspired in me.
Fair.
I shook myself to sleep for about 2 weeks.
Oh, Michael.
Not like Ben.
All right, okay,
Not-
just
Don't
checking.
shake myself to sleep. It's broad strokes. You don't shake with broad strokes.
Furtive strokes. I think. I think. How are we doing for time? Yeah,
We're fine.
I think that film inspired in me a lifelong quest to try to regain that fear, to feel that again.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
I
Okay.
think that's why I'm into horror.
Is it also why you pull down people's shirt collars when you meet them?
Yes.
Ah.
It's also why I'm always checking the
Your
back of
nipple
your
checking.
neck in
Yeah,
case
your
you're
nipple checking.
in case you're an alien. I think it might be why I learned martial arts, so I could defeat aliens if I ever came across them.
You had a copper pipe in your pocket.
Yeah, just a length
Make
of
a copper pipe.
A few old 2Ps.
Yeah.
Grand.
Yeah, so I think it's
Jesus.
a lifelong quest to try and be that scared again.
Oh.
And it's why horror films, I'm always watching it. I love them, but I'm always a bit disappointed that I'm not scared after.
Can I ask a question?
Hit me with your question.
Did your brother, who will remain nameless, also see this film?
Yeah.
And it didn't have the same impact
It had
on him?
next to no impact.
Wow,
He,
okay.
if anything, he was annoyed by how scared I was.
Right, okay.
I'm older.
Yeah.
So he was like, "You're the worst older brother I've ever
Ever.
seen."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that has stuck with him to this day.
Oh, bless. Christmas is
Wow.
always fun in Michael's house.
Then what turned you into the backwards weirdo yard?
So, well, there's a
Latent
few
creep
things.
you are
We
now.
don't actually have that much time
Oh, we
on
do.
the podcast. No, not to go through everything that turned me into a weirdo.
Yeah.
But the one that really affected me was, do you remember Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I do indeed.
Are You
Come on.
Afraid of the Dark was the Canadian competitor for Goosebumps
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the States.
Didn't have Jack Black.
Yeah, didn't have Jack Black in the awful remake.
not awful.
There's a Goosebumps 2 coming out
Yeah, is that
without
remake?
Jack Black.
No, is he not in it? He's
No,
in
he's
it.
not in the sequel.
He's in it. The
He's
house
not in-
with the clock on the walls.
No, that's not Goosebumps.
What's that?
That's a different thing.
Oh, is
but there's
it?
also a Goosebumps 2 coming out now. Anyway, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
The first one's not bad though.
Isn't it?
No, it's fine. It's
Oh,
good. Lots
okay.
of monsters and chasing, and it's pretty good.
You're alright with it.
It's about as good as Antman 2.
Oh. Is that our new barometer?
No, it's just there's lots of monsters and chasing and trying to get a thing, so it's quite similar.
It's quite decent.
Would we be able to see that when we go to America today, or would we have to go back?
You could probably see that on Netflix if you want.
Oh, grand so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Grand so.
Yeah, good.
Sorry, Ben. Do
Anyways,
Your thing, Ben.
Spin your wheels.
one particular episode revolved around a group of children who found a
And now
secret
you're terrified
swimming
of
pool.
children.
I am terrified of children, but that's beside the point. It's more the commitment they represent than anything else.
Wow. It's a very revealing podcast about marriage and children.
It usually is. They find a secret swimming pool, a boarded up swimming pool,
Right.
in their high school. And two of the guys, they're just some good time guys. They want to have a swim in the secret
party
swimming
boys?
pool. Yeah.
Right.
But it turns out
Yeah.
that swimming pool
Yeah.
was closed and annexed for a reason.
What was the reason?
And then we get a flashback, and we find out from the janitor, who used to be the lifeguard of the secret pool,
Right.
that there's an
Quite a step
evil
down.
spirit in the base of the pool. And I think the spirit in the base of the pool was a worker who fell into the concrete when they were pouring the pool foundation,
nice.
and they filled over him. He died
wow.
in the concrete. They found him the next day, and they filled over him. So this guy, you can't see him. The pool is perfectly clear.
Yeah.
But when you swim in the pool,
Hand
he
grabs you.
drowns you. He
wow.
pulls you in, and you see him.
Amazing.
He's this rotted kind of, and they had a whole thing about how the chlorine had worn away his skin and like burned him to
Lovely.
death. Like, and you could see him. You didn't see him until the end of the episode, but he would grab people and he would pull them down into the pool and drown them to death. That's what he did. I did not go near the deep end of my pool for a solid 3 months after
got a
seeing that
pool.
episode.
Your own personal pool.
Are you Michael
Yeah.
Barrymore?
No, I swam because my parents made me Michael Barrymore.
Michael Barrymore. A gay man famously drowned in Michael Barrymore's pool like 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Maybe more.
Ended his career.
Yeah.
Like, the scandal of it ended his
Who's
career.
Michael Barrymore?
He was a TV presenter. He was a kind of Noel Edmonds type TV
He's a
presenter.
family-friendly entertainment. We should say at this point that no charges were brought against
no
Michael
foul play.
Barrymore. There was no foul play.
Nice, Rachel. Nice
Yeah,
covering
just
of the podcast
No,
there.
I'm not covering it. There was an investigation. Nothing happened,
Yeah.
but it did ruin his career. And people didn't know whether it was the fact that the guy had drowned in his pool. There was a lot of very salacious rumours that were brought out by rag newspapers.
Of course.
None of them were proved true, but people say whether it was that or whether the fact that he came out as gay kind of ruined his career.
Could have been either, really, couldn't it?
Anyway,
I think there was a lot of drugs involved too, weren't there?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
Allegedly.
None
of us were there.
No, we
Sure,
weren't there.
Sure, listen.
Ben probably wasn't even born.
I don't even know if I was born.
I can't believe he doesn't know who Michael Barton was.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Anyway. But I really struggled with that episode.
What's a hotspot not?
It's because... What?
What's a hotspot not?
I'm lost.
Right, that's what we're doing after.
I'm lost. But yeah, interestingly, I think that's a large reason that I became a lifeguard and did all that stuff afterwards, because I was so terrified. But the janitor had it worse because he used to date a girl, and you get a flashback in this episode, and her little brother was swimming in the pool, and he was very nervous, and the lifeguard said, "You go ahead while I hit on your sister." And he's like, "You'll be fine, you'll be fine, you'll be fine." And then this creature makes itself known and starts to drag the young fella down, and he tries to save the kid and fails. So you have a whole scene where he fails to save a little boy from drowning.
Did he try and save him from the high chair? The umpire's chair?
No, he doesn't. He comes down like he's like trying to... It's very traumatic when you watch the episode. Like, there's a lot of like screaming and "please don't let me die" kind of stuff. Very Peter... Oh, no, can we give that spoiler? Infinity War spoiler?
Yeah.
Very, very Peter Parker at the end of Infinity War is like, "I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go." And this guy's like, no. And he's trying to fight it. And then he becomes the janitor and tries to stop people from ever finding the secret pool.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ben, I bet you that if you go back and watch that scene is much less dramatic than you think it was.
But you see, that wouldn't have the trauma that gave me the...
I know, but that's
weird thing.
That's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
It's interesting, though.
I'd say it was probably quite tame, really.
Probably.
And quite short.
Yeah.
Probably. But
your tiny brain.
It seared itself onto my tiny little brain. So that was a big one for me. But we did turn this over to Reddit, Michael. And we tried to find out a bunch more. And we came up with some pretty good ones from the Reddit movies subreddit.
That's what the Reddit people said.
Yeah.
Well, we asked Reddit movies and Reddit comics.
Reddit comics as well. What you read that kind of just imprinted on your tiny little brain. And one of the big ones that I found, since we've been talking about Spider-Man so much, was Spider-Man issue 294. Apparently one of the Redditors, his name is Weird Mountain, he said that his...
that's a weird mountain.
Exactly. He said that his mom got him a subscription to Spider-Man that started with issue 288, and this was in 1987, and there's the last few panels in issue 288 where Kraven the Hunter puts a rifle in his mouth and squeezes the trigger.
Wow.
He kills himself at the end of the
hunt.
That's Kraven's Last Hunt.
And are you telling me that you haven't read Kraven's Last Hunt?
I have read Kraven's Last Hunt.
Good. Because it wasn't part of the retrospective you did on Spider-Man earlier. Let's just do a little test, the Ben test. How old were you in 1988?
I didn't exist in
Very
1987.
good.
Wow.
Basic numeracy, taking a leap. I'll have a look at the movie one there, Ben. I had a look. The classics.
Yeah.
You know the ones you expect. Freddy.
Nightmare. Cancel.
Nightmare. Freddy was one for me, actually.
That's a big one for you?
Very briefly, I'll tell you. When I was about 10... me and my brother were permitted to watch Nightmare on Elm Street by our parents. Right. This was in the old broadcast television days.
Oh, it was on the telly?
It was on the telly. And our parents were going to watch it downstairs in the living room, and we were going to watch it up in the bedroom.
Oh, great. And good place to watch it.
Exactly. And I think, in my memory, my mother decided not to let us watch it about 10 minutes in because she thought it wasn't suitable. But I think it was probably my fault. I probably freaked out.
Right.
And kind of encouraged my mother to not let us watch it.
You were a nervous child.
I was a very nervous child. And my brother negotiated allowing us to watch an episode of The X-Files instead.
Oh, wow.
No, not a good trade.
It was the episode of The X-Files with the guy who could set things on fire with his mind.
Not a good trade.
I love that one. I've only ever seen about 5 episodes of The X-Files, but I loved that one.
Did you see the one with the stretchy man?
The stretchy man. I watched the stretchy man one because you recommended it to me.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
But... yeah, I think the fireman one wasn't that scary, but I was so on edge anyway.
Yeah, it did a bit more damage.
Pushed me over the edge and it did a bit more damage.
Would we be 10 minutes in when the hand comes through the bed and pulls Johnny Depp in?
I think so.
When you started freaking out?
Johnny Depp in X-Files?
Johnny Depp.
No, he's in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, right, okay, sorry.
I don't think he survives further than that, though. That's not 10 minutes in. He makes it most of the way through the movie.
I'm just remembering the first kind of hand coming through the thing and just...
like, it's pretty
Freddy
gross.
was a paedophile.
He wasn't.
Was he not?
No, he was a child murderer.
Oh, child murderer.
New Freddy is a paedophile.
Paedophile, yeah.
Oddly enough.
Yes.
It's weird that we have that category of how bad a person... No, child murderer. Is not that bad.
Fine.
He's not a pedo.
How dare you, Rachel?
So yeah, a lot of people had Freddy.
Yeah.
Jaws.
Jaws is a big one.
The shark.
Yeah, I still never got over Jaws. Still have issues with sharks.
I think you've got a whole water thing.
I've got a whole water thing.
I love sharks.
Which is weird because I spend a lot of my time swimming and or lifeguarding and or doing whatever.
Well, find someone there, Ben, who saw RoboCop.
There was a RoboCop one, but I'm in the comic discussion now, so I'll have to go back to the other one. But I remember that one of the commenters mentioned specifically the scene where he's being hung from he's half a body.
RoboCop.
And he's been and he's woken up.
He's part robot, part cop.
And shown, RoboCop, yes.
Nice.
And he's shown how little human is left in
Isn't
him.
that from the remake?
No, but there's a scene in the original where he
So,
wakes up on
I have no memory of that.
The remake is very disturbing, but it wasn't that bad, actually, as remakes go. It got a bad rep.
So I have a theory on the RoboCop thing.
Go on.
I have a theory that a lot of kids were allowed to watch RoboCop because he was one of those classic 80s things that started as a 18s horrific adult thing and then got kidified. He got an animated series. He got action figures. His TV show was relatively tame.
Very true.
And then parents say, it's just RoboCop. He's a kid's character. Of course they can watch RoboCop. And then you watch Murphy getting blown to bits. Who's the...
I found a comment here from another one, which I can't say this username, but it's HFR6009.
Ruffer 6009.
6009.
Ben.
We all know that guy.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I'm just not down anymore with the kids. But anyway, RoboCop. He specifically references "Give the Man a Hand," where your man kicks him out with the back of the. Is that the kicking out of the back of the man?
They blow his hand off.
They blow his hand off. Yeah, that was it.
It's
And then the other one is the executive slaughter in the bathroom. And then the big robot, which would surely give you a bloody complex about technology, trusting technology, where they tell it to stand down.
Ed 209.
That's the executive slaughter in the.
Yeah.
That is a scary scene as a kid because you're watching this robot preparing to kill this man, and he initially is laughing it off as you would if someone pointed a gun at you as a joke.
It's
and
like,
then
you taking the piss?
Yeah, and then he's like, no, turn it off, and then he just kills the shit out of them. It's kind of scary.
And we'd only been used to fun robots.
Fun robots.
Johnny 5 and stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
Johnny Prime.
Optimus Prime.
Batteries not included.
Exactly, yeah.
Batteries were never included, were they? No. One last honourable mention before we wrap it up is certain cartoons that kids get to watch. We had a great comment from a friend of the podcast, Laura, on our Instagram, and she mentioned Him from the Powerpuff Girls. Him was the bizarre Satan kind of parallel with the lobster hands
and his thigh-high boots.
And his thigh-high boots, and it was
really
neither man nor woman. It was him, and it wasn't specifically a man or a woman. And he had the strange high-pitched voice, and he could warp reality to mess with the Powerpuff Girls.
He was a bit like one of the characters from Futurama. From
Dr. Zoidberg.
Dr. Zoidberg.
No,
he was
not
like
Dr. Zoidberg.
He was like a kind of transvestite Dr. Zoidberg.
No, it's not Zoidberg. Like, I think it was Satan.
The robot Satan.
The robot Satan.
I guess it would have been similar to that.
Similar, yeah.
And he just messed around with the Powerpuff Girls all the time. But he used to have really twisted episode arcs where he'd like turn all the girls' friends and families against them, where they'd be like, I hate you, you're not good. Like, really disturbing stuff.
He used to pick on Bubbles quite a lot as well.
Yeah, he didn't like Bubbles because she was
the joy and the laughter.
She was the joy and the laughter. Yeah, twisted stuff. And then I remember Ren and Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy was very disturbing after a while. I remember particularly they used to do the close-ups on like grotesque feet or grotesque facial features, and they'd be hyper-realistic kind of rendered things, and they'd like reef toenails out or teeth out. And it was really weird when you think about it again.
One about the teeth.
And then the bizarre toast mascot. Remember Stimpy used to ride, or Ren or Stimpy, I can't remember which one, used to ride around on his ass cheeks. He'd go hop on my buns and they'd fly all over. Like, very strange stuff for kids to be watching.
Yeah.
Rocko's Modern Life was a big 90s one.
That's too late for my taste, Ben.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay.
For my
Rocko's
blood.
Modern Life was really, really strange, where it was a guy who basically lived in an apartment complex in kind of a San Diego parallel universe kind of thing, and his landlady would constantly hit on him, and she could say that you could Rocko's Modern Life was on in the later slot on Nickelodeon on Fridays.
Is he a dog?
He's a kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
He's an Australian guy living in this.
He's seen Antman and the Wasp.
Thing. He probably has. But he used to be always late on his rent, and he'd be harassed kind of sexually by his landlady, who said that if you don't have your rent, you can give me a kiss and stuff like this. So I mean, hashtag Rocco too.
The classic terrifying landlady was it Kingpin? The bowling movie.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that was.
We also had a few comments, Ben, from people who accidentally watched porn.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really what we meant, but
But it's fine. Like we'll take it. Flash Gordon. He picked up the wrong copy at the rental
sure.
place. He
Yeah,
wanted
sure,
to pick up
Jan.
Flash Gordon, and he got the 70s porn
Gordon's
parody.
alive!
Flash. Gordon's aroused, etc. So yeah,
Dispatch War Rocket Ajax to bring back his jism.
that was Flash Gordon.
Personally as well, look, we can't get through this episode without talking about Catwoman.
Oh, look, Michael, as you know, has mentioned many times on the podcast that Michelle Pfeiffer in a tightly clad leather catsuit. PVC, sorry. PVC. Sorry. It has to be shiny or it just doesn't do it for Michael. It was a formative experience for him. It was
Ben,
one of
Gone
the...
off in a reverie now.
I find it very hard to find women who aren't Michelle Pfeiffer attractive. Other than my own lovely lady, obviously.
I'm glad you got there.
Lovely lady, partner, woman.
I've got
Rachel and I were looking at each other going, how do we save him?
I've got two peculiar likes. Michelle Pfeiffer from Batman Returns and my own lovely lady.
Oh, okay.
I have covered.
How old were you when you saw Michelle Pfeiffer?
Well, let's ask Ben.
Batman?
Ben, I was born in 1982, and Batman Returns, I believe, came out in 1993.
Was that the one that Gift from a Rose was from that we were all very
1992.
surprised about?
Yes,
1992.
Was it 92?
Yeah.
So
you were
how
10
old
years
were you?
old.
But
Michael.
didn't see it in the cinema,
Okay.
so probably 94.
Probably
Yeah,
94,
it's a
then
long
you were... Oh, crap. You were 12 years old, Michael.
Yes.
12
So
years,
12
at
years
the
old.
cusp.
Right,
Like myself. With
right on
Elvira.
the button. Right on the
Next
button.
week on Ben Learns Maths.
It was 1992.
It was 1992.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Batman fan. Anyway, so you, PVC, a feline... You have 2 cats now.
That's
Oh, come
nothing
on
to
now.
do with it, Ben.
Is it anything to do with the...
That's weird.
Anything to do with
That's
your
actually
weird
quite enough.
That's
thing?
very insulting.
Okay, that's the end of the episode, folks. If you had anything that really affected you way too much, do you want to do that tut again? We'll just include it. Very, very good. Next week, we're going to have Rachel back to do ASMR and pop culture. We're going to have lots of tutting. I'm basically going to say things in a whispery voice that are slightly sexist and demeaning towards women, and she's going to give her disapproval in a gentle sound.
Our normal life. Normal service.
Our normal life, pretty much how we interact on a daily basis.
Correct.
If you had anything that mentally scarred your tiny little mind, let us know down below.
Hold on, it doesn't have to be scarred.
Formative. If you have
Yeah,
a formative
formative.
experience.
Tell us your formative experiences. Because I think, I'm just going to touch you now, Ben. A lot of people, when they think of this type of thing, they go to negative.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I did.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't have to be negative.
Doesn't have to be negative.
Even though that Alien movie scared the fucking shit out of me, I like who I've become because of it. So I don't consider that a scarring thing.
Well, that makes one person in the room, Michael. So that's good.
I'm enjoying chasing the dragon of trying to get scared
the
again.
Jesus
again.
out of yourself.
Remember when we went to that horror thing?
We went to that horror thing. Oh, that was amazing. Can we have a brief word on that?
Go on.
Go on.
So, for Michael's birthday last year, myself and Michael and our two
Respective lovely
partners, male and female, Michael's lovely lady partner arranged for me and my gentleman partner and Mike to go
This
to
is so complex.
to go to a haunted house experience in the RDS in Dublin. And basically, you spent the whole time just being chased by people jumping out at you.
Oh, man.
It was absolutely
Sounds unpleasant.
terrifying and hilarious.
It was hilarious.
It was amazing. When we came out of it's in 3 houses, and we came out of the first one. I didn't think I was able to go into the second one because I had such a pain in my stomach from laughing. I was going to die. What was your favourite bit, Michael?
Look, I really like the bits where you got scared.
I know.
If you're going, go with a scaredy cat.
Are
Because
you a
other-
scaredy cat, Rachel?
I don't like being chased.
Fair enough.
This is something that
I don't know if
people
you
will
should have
learn about me.
revealed that.
Don't think any women like being chased, to be honest. That's-
Well, some do.
Even playfully, Michael has tried to playfully chase me around the place where we work, and I don't enjoy it. He has also received many an arm lock and arm grab and things like that for jumping out at me, saying the name of a person which we will not reveal here to frighten me.
No.
Barney?
No, it's
No, we
Yeah,
can't
never
go
get
into
it. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but yeah, it was a great haunted house experience. I don't know if I could do it again though.
No, you'd want to do a different one again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look, give it a look. Ben, do the wrap up.
In that case, ladies and gentlemen, since we've kind of reframed the narrative there, Michael is just resting his head on my shoulder. It's so off-putting. Let us know. Oh, we had a transformer hit me in the back there as well. It's all going south. Let us know what positive formative experiences some of your pop culture favourites have had on you. That might make a nice change. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter still.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. our Twitter, I have mostly been using to harass Marvel Ireland for not releasing Antman and the Wasp.
Fair enough. It is actually quite fun to go through our Instagram and look at the amount of comments that Michael has placed on various Marvel promos for different things, and the amount of people that chime in to either support or degrade him for this insult. So check that out. Give us an L like, give us an L subscribe, and go check us out on our audio platforms as well. Big, massive thank you to the wonderful Dr. Rachel. She will be launching her own podcast on the Michael and Benjamin's podcast network soon. Yeah. For anybody who's out there who needs a hand getting some stuff done, you're going to want to listen to that one. Yeah. It could be home improvement. It could be something else. Yeah. I've left you hanging on for more. Anyway, thanks a million, Rachel, for coming in.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. We were Mrs.
Yeah.
Oh, there you see, I couldn't even end it with that.
All right, everyone. That's it from us.
Bye.
Bye.